B-boy. From the old to the new, still a B-boy. Too bold for the school, still a B-boy. East Coast to the West, B-boys worldwide. We supposed to be blessed, still a B-boy.
This week, we're heading west to Los Angeles to talk about a man who is the definition of a true artist. From his early days rhyming with Ice-T's Rhyme Syndicate, to his group, which delivered a timeless anthem in the 90s, to a solo career where he branched out to blues, but all while keeping it hip-hop. This week, top 10 Everlast solo songs. House of Pain doesn't count. La Coca Nostra doesn't count. Solo only. Joining me, as always, Raven Hunter is in the house. We got Brad Sadler. Ben Newman's back as well. Let's talk about Whitey Ford. My number 10, I'm going to where his solo career actually started, 1990s, Forever Everlasting. And I just wanted to give this album some love. So I had to pick my favorite song off it and slide in at 10. And that song is Fuck Everyone. You know, I first heard Everlast on that Rhyme Syndicate Coming Through compilation, which came out a couple years before this. Then he was on the Ice-T Posse track, What You Want to Do. But in this era, you know, these Rhyme Syndicate members were starting to get solo albums. You know, Donald D had one, Divine Styler had one, Everlast got one. Like, we never got the Nat the Cat one I really wanted. But he was pushing Everlast. This album does not age well. It sounds very dated when you listen back to it. And hearing his young voice is kind of funny. Now he's got like a deep smoker's voice. But out of this album, this is a song I've always liked the most. Faster beat. He rides it well. Fuck Everyone. As much as I wanted to pick the rhythm with Ice-T, even that song, it's like Ice-T's verse is the only thing really salvageable on it. But I had to represent Rhyme Syndicate where it started. Fuck Everyone is my number 10. What's yours, Raven?
I started with the White Trash Beautiful album with the song White Trash Beautiful. I just like that little story. I love the vibe of that shit. The pretty cool video. I think the dude from Breaking Bad was in that video, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it was just, I always thought it was a really dope song.
That was an honorable mention. I got a lot of honorable mentions. Hopefully you guys can get, so I got like 18 honorable mentions. No, that's a great album, which I know will be talked about more. Brad, what is number 10 on your list?
All right. Well, I also went to okay, so this is the Euro press of Forever Everlasting. I didn't realize I had a Euro press till I looked at it today. And I'm going with the single, which is kind of a clever title. He's Got the Knack, and uses the My Sharona sample by the Knack. So he really did have the knack. It kind of reminds me of like some Kid Rock songs off Grit Sandwiches for Breakfast. I mean, it's just that era, that style. Yeah. I first heard House of Pain, so you know, I've said it a million times, like my introduction to hip hop really was in 92 with the Chronic, and then I just kind of, you know, started listening to anything that was going on then, and I heard House of Pain and fell in love with it. And then I was like, oh, Everlast had a solo album, and it was like in the bargain. Like you would go in the bargain bin and you'd find it for like 99 cents. So I picked it up, and right away I was like, this isn't as good as House of Pain, but I always kept it because I love Everlast. And that song, you know, it's kind of got a little catchy sample, and it's fun. So the Knack.
All right, number 10, Ben, what you got?
Well, let's see here. We're going to Eat It Whitey's, and I'm going with that lead-off single, Black Jesus. Just, I know coming off of, you know, Whitey Ford Sings the Blues, it was his follow-up, and yeah, I don't know, that song just stuck with me. Yeah, just a dope-ass song. It's hard. This list was hard because I always want to veer to his hip-hop shit.
Yep.
But then he has a lot of other good songs, but then I always want, so it's like, okay, take a breath. And you know, but I always want to veer towards his hip hop shit, and I thought that was a really good mix of how he did his guitar and blues, but he was still rhyming. Right. And speaking of honorable mentions, I have a ton too. This was hard.
Well, kind of like you said, it depends the mood I'm in. If I'm like in a sad, reflective type mood, my list might be completely different because I'm going to go to those, you know, sadder bluesy songs. But Yeah, if I'm just in a regular mood, I usually gravitate towards the hip hop. But what I like is even with the bluesy songs, he always keeps hip hop elements in it, whether they're
Yeah,
scratching in the
yeah,
background or just what he's talking about. He never lost that hip hop part. He fused it so well, so well.
yeah.
So number nine, oof, 1998's Whitey Ford Sings the Blues. What a great record. And this was a song I told myself it's not going to make the list. It'll make everyone else's list. Just throw it on honorable mentions so I can give love to something else. But I had to be real. What It's Like, the huge single. Every time I would replay this album going through this, it's like, that's such a great song that holds up, all these years later. And I can remember being, quick story, I was with my baby's mother playing mini golf and the radio was on. And she's like, this is a new Everlast. And I'm like, Everlast from House of Pain. I'm like, this isn't Everlast from House of Pain. He's like singing like a country guy or something. And I was like, oh man, he's sold out. This album's gonna be trash. And I didn't buy it right away. Then I heard a friend play it. I'm like, whoa. So then I went out and got it, and I hated on What It's Like at first, but I ended up falling in love with it. And I gotta be real, it's a top 10 Everlast song. It probably should be higher. But I wanted to give other things love. But damn, the lyrics hold up so well. It's a timeless song. They'll probably hold up in 100 years, right? The themes that he's talking about. So What It's Like was my number nine. What's yours, Raven?
I went to Forever Everlasting with the track Syndication Soldier. I think it's the first song. I love the beat and the flow of that. It just set that album off really well. I still love that album. It does definitely have that the dated feel to it,
Yeah.
but I had heard that before I heard Jump Around, so I had already been exposed to Everlast. And I still love the album. It just that's the one song that I could still be like I could put this on in the car and still be happy every day, you know what I mean?
Nice. That album's getting more love than I thought it would. And I didn't mean to hate on it, but yeah, it sounded dated, no doubt about
It
it.
definitely sounds like an old ass album, but
No, I'm glad it's getting love because I thought I'd be the only one would have a song from it on. Number nine, Brad, what's on your list?
All right, I'm going also to Whitey Ford Sings the Blues. Unfortunately, I don't have an original copy. It's in my Discogs want list, but this is a reissue. So for me, I don't know how I knew that Everlast was moving into a more like folky rock kind of thing, and I was excited because I mean you guys know I
Yeah.
love rock music, and I kind of felt like 1998, 99 was like the years of white boy hip hop. Like you had Eminem got huge, Kid Rock was huge, you still had the Beastie Boys is pretty huge, and then you had Everlast, and then all rock music was also kind of just fusing elements of hip hop, like new metal had their DJs in there. Not that I think new metal's good or anything like that, but I'm just saying it was an era of like white people kind of culture vulturing or taking on hip hop culture. But anyways, so this is a great album. I loved this album from the beginning, and I think pretty much I could pick any song off this album. But I went with number nine as Money with Sada X,
Yes.
which is I think like the first lead off
It
song, right?
is. It
It's
is
after
after the little intro.
yeah,
Yeah.
the little intro. It's just a really it's much more hip hop. Actually, when you play that, you're like, oh, this is like really kind of just a hip hop
Mhm.
song. Maybe there's some acoustic strumming in the background, but it's pretty hip hop for this album, anyways.
Nice. Another honorable mention. That would have made top 15 because I love Brand Nubian, so having X on there was great. Number nine, Ben.
Nine, I'm going to Love War, Ghost of Whitey Ford, with the song Dirty. This wasn't one of my favorite songs at first, but after a while, it grew on me. And I don't know what it is about that song, but I know I'm married, but it just makes me want to go to a bar and find some trash bitch and fuck the shit out of her. It just, I don't know. It's just one of them songs. And I'm probably going to get smacked later for that.
Want me to edit that out?
Leave her in.
Well,
That's what she said.
oh, dun dun. All right. I don't want to get Ben in too much trouble, so we'll move right on to 8. I am going to 2004's White Trash Beautiful, and I'm going with the song Ticking Away. And this is just one of the pure hip hop tracks, which, like I said before, he never left it, lost it, even with the bluesy stuff. And he's still an amazing MC. I mean, this is literally just hip hop MC stuff. He'll mix in like a couple bars with the singy type voice, but it's a great sample, although it's '04 and it sounds very Kanye Westy, and that was when that sound a speed up, sample, and it does sound like a Kanye West type beat, but that doesn't mean it's not a good beat, right? And man, this is such a good album for different reasons. As much as I love this song, as much as I love some of the pure bluesy songs, but Ticking Away, he kept it hip hop. I loved it. That was my number 8.
If it
Raven.
sounds like Kanye, you don't have to qualify that it still sounds good. If it sounds like Kanye, it is
Oh,
good.
it's just automatically.
It's gonna sound good. That's pretty much fact.
I think we've proved that's not fact.
I mean, we did a list that would dispute what you just said.
I will keep my mouth shut. Number 8 for you, Raven.
Yeah, number 8. So I went to Whitey Ford Sings the Blues for the first time. It's without a doubt, my favorite Everlast album because of that shit. Just it came out at the right time in my life. But yeah, I went with Hot to Death. I love that beat. I think it's like a Metallica rip, basically. But I love that beat. I love the whole flow of that song, and it's one of the many standout songs on that album.
And that was more not metalish, but it was a harder rock type vibe to it. Number 8, I think. And Brad, you're up.
I am going with White Trash Beautiful's first song, I believe, Blinded by the Sun. I love this album. My biggest beef with this album is that it's not on vinyl. Why the fuck is it not on vinyl? It really would lend itself good to vinyl. It actually, I think, it's still every song has hip hop elements, but it's much more folky. But it's just every song, the melodies are just so good. Like every song is so pleasing to the ear. For me, even though he had a steady decline in sales with each album after Whitey Ford Sings the Blues, that's my favorite one is White Trash Beautiful. I could really have picked any song off of there and plugged it in anywhere, but whatever struck me as I was listening to it, I was like, okay, I'll put this one in.
Good number 8. Ben, what is your number 8?
8, we're going to Whitey Ford Sings the Blues, and I'm going with Money. Kind of like you said, out like when that album first came out, I was like, "What's he doing?"
Right.
But then, and I heard what it's like, and I liked it, but I was like, so it took me a second, but then as soon as you had the Fat Boys intro,
Yeah.
and then this kicks in, I'm like, "Oh shit, yeah, this is Everlast," and that's just a great song with X, brand Newman. Fuck yeah, that's good cut.
All right, we'll move to number 7. And for the first time, I'm going to the year 2000. The album was Eat at Whitey's. And I'm going with my first non-hip hop song, and that's the last track, Graves to Dig. There's just something about this song that always hits me. And I always thought this would be a really good song to play at my funeral. And I don't know why I think that. I just always like this would be a damn good funeral song. Even if just the acoustics of it is just, I don't know. It's hard to explain. But as much as this is not a hip hop song, he talks about Scott LaRock, Big, and Pac, and it's just he never loses that hip hop. Where a lot of people who moved away kind of who started hip hop and then branched into other things, it was almost like they're ashamed of it, like a Kid Rock or whoever. But he always kept that. I think he was just a real lover of hip hop culture, so he always kept those elements in. But yeah, this song makes me so sad, but in a good way. It just puts me in a headspace, and if I hear Graves to Dig, I just get somber and reflective. And yeah, I don't know what else to say about it. That was my number 7. Raven, what about you?
Might be the biggest surprise to me since we started this that number 7 is Graves to Dig, and I knew nobody else would have this fucking song on their list, and it's the same number 7. It's the beat is very weird. It's almost off-putting because it's like out of time, like 5/4 time, or there's something weird in that beat that he still flows perfectly well on it. That it's off-putting in a good way for me. And you really blew my fucking mind. That yours was on the list and number 7.
Yeah, we do that all the time. You shouldn't be surprised anymore. But I'm
Just
surprised it made anyone's
this
list.
song, I knew nobody else was gonna fucking talk about,
That's exactly
and
what
there
I
it is.
thought. That's what exactly what I thought. It's just, I don't know. It makes me sad in a good way, if that makes any sense. Brad, is your number 7 Graves the Dig? That would be crazy.
It is not, but I am gonna stay at that same album. So here's my original press of Eat at Whitey's, still in the shrink. And I wanted to cheat and pick the song that he did on the Santana album, but I didn't really have to because there's a song with Santana on Eat at Whitey's, Babylon Feeling. It's a pretty heavy song as well too, and it's really, really a good song. Maybe not as good as put your lights on, but still a really good track. So that's my number 7.
And that was an honorable mention. That was the other non-hip hop song on there that I really like. Your Heavy was a good way to explain it. It's just another one that gives me kind of those same vibes. Like Everlast is really good at making me sad, but in a good way. I don't know how to explain it, so we'll just keep the ball rolling. Number 7, Ben.
Going back to Love and Warren, Ghost of Whitey Ford, Stone in My Hand. Dude, doesn't this song just make you feel like you can take on the world? Like, fuck it, let's go. I
Right,
don't know,
right.
something about it. I love acoustic guitar with scratching.
It is. It does mix good. I
Yeah.
agree.
And then the way he does his like acoustic with good scratching, I really dig that. And I know it's not heavy on the scratching, but it's just enough that I don't know. I really this song gets me pumped. So number 7.
And it's like that slower scratching, which just fits with acoustic sound. It's just no, that was I'm surprised it was an honorable mention, but I do like that song. All right, 6. I'm going to another new album, 2008's Love War and Goes to Whitey Ford. And I'm going with, yes, it's the first track. Kill the Emperor is a great way to start this record. He mixes the regular rapping with the singing and the hook, just meshes this so good. And I know we keep talking about it. And although this is the album that probably has the least amount of songs with rapping, I still do really like this album. But this has everything I want in an Everlast song: dope rhymes, great hook, amazing guitar, and the beat in the background. And it's great lyrics, kind of revolutionary type lyrics. And everyone knows I'm a sucker for a number one first song on an album that really hits. So Kill the Emperor had to make the list. That was my number 6. Raven, you're up.
I went with Money with Sadat X, from Whitey Ford Sings the Blues, because it sets that album off really well. And I love Brand Nubian. I fucking love Sadat X. I always loved his voice and the weird way that he flows and not flows at the same time sometimes. Like I still Wild Cowboys is I love that fucking album so much.
Underrated, underrated.
So underrated. Most
Yeah.
people would not know that song, but it's such a good album. And so I would have bought this album based on that song being on it, even if I hadn't already heard what it's like and I really liked.
No, I feel bad that that was only honorable mention and making everyone's list. 6, Brad.
Ends the I guess,
Uh,
as what you call the what it's like part 2, but yeah, it's super catchy and just a good, I like the chorus when he's like people rob from their mother to get the ends, oh, great song. For me, it was awesome. I guess you guys consider that to be a non-hip hop song. It still kind of sounds hip hop to me, like ends is a hip hop word. So, it's still got all those hip hop elements in it.
Absolutely. I think even he's always like got some connection to hip hop on like every song pretty much that he's ever done. And that was an honorable mention. I always like the if you broke, she'll spit. If you're rich, she might swallow for the ends. Number 6 for you, Ben.
Going to White Trash Beautiful with The Warning.
What a beat. What an
Yeah,
interesting
no, I
beat.
mean,
Yeah.
speaking of scratching and that acoustic,
Yeah,
yeah, but
yeah.
then this one, he's just rhyming and going for your throat. So
Mhm.
classic Everlast, that's the shit I dig, and do, and then this is the warning. That's
Warning.
got
That's
scratch
the
like
warning.
I don't, yeah, dope ass sample. Yeah, just I like him when he's when I feel he's pissed rhyming or like going for your throat. That's what
Right.
I like that shit. So
And he's got the voice for that too.
yeah,
All right, we are halfway, just like that. And I'm actually going to 2018. Whitey Ford's House of Pain record. And I'm going with the song The Culling. I really wanted this song to be higher. I love it. It just kind of kept slipping, but his flow is so on point. His rhymes are so great. The flow pattern is great. I mean, the whole song with the like cold chilling, top billing, body count, cop killing. He does that flow through that whole song. It might be his best he's ever rapped as far as technically. Great hook, and you got evidence from Dilated Peoples to this beat. It's just this is hip hop, right? I heard people say that Everlast isn't hip hop anymore, and that's just ridiculous. And this is a great example. It's 2018, not that long ago. So the culling, damn, he just kills that. It slipped to 5, but what are you gonna do, Raven? What about you?
Man, so this track I almost like I tried to talk myself out of putting it on here because it feels like cheating because it's a cover track, but it's just such a dope cover. That Folsom Prison Blues from Johnny Cash. Man, it's that House of Pain sample mixed
Ooh.
in with the guitar. It just I love it, and I grew up my dad listening to Johnny Cash and shit, so like I well versed in that song, and I got so hyped when I seen Everlast put out a cover of that track.
And it doesn't seem like it should work, that Cypress Hill
Right.
sample, but it works so damn good. And same thing, when that came out, I played it for my dad because I know he listened to Johnny Cash back in the day. So same connection, same connection. That was an honorable mention because that sample is just, it shouldn't
Yeah,
work.
I think I said House of Pain, but I meant Cypress
You
Hill.
meant
But yeah,
Cypress Hill, yeah. It shouldn't work, but it works. Number 5, Brad.
Speaking of Cypress Hill, so in '92, Beastie Boys, House of Pain, and Cypress Hill toured for a very short time, and that tour like blew up because I don't remember, there was some shit that happened on the tour. I wanted to go to that tour so fucking bad, and I could not go. I've never seen House of Pain do a show live, unfortunately. And I was supposed to actually in 2013. They came down here doing some place on the Gulf Coast, and I was going to go some festival, and a fucking hurricane came through and shut the damn
That
festival down.
sucks.
So I've never seen House of Pain. I have seen Everlast though. In 89, I think it was, or 99, I think it
89.
was. It was 89X. It was like the night they stole Christmas or something like that. They had Kid Rock actually emceed the show. Everlast was there, and there was a bunch of other alternative bands. But what I thought was really cool, and I know I haven't got to my song yet, but I wanted to throw this in, was that when Everlast came out and did his set, I was like, I had we had like front row or second row seat, so I could see like the side of the stage. Kid Rock came and sat at the side of the stage and watched Everlast perform his set, which was pretty fucking cool to me. And I always stuck out in my mind. And it was really, it was at the point where Everlast was bigger than Kid Rock. So I think it was like, it must have still been 98 because like Kid Rock hadn't got, I think Double Without a
okay.
Cause had come out, but it hadn't, Ball to Ball hadn't like, there was a point where Everlast was the bigger artist.
Right.
Kid Rock, kind of sat there and watched him. I was like, yeah, that's fucking cool. Anyways, all that being said, I went to White Trash Beautiful, and I picked Angel. It is just the chorus is so catchy and so good. And how like he has this girl he loves, is the best friend, and he kind of ruins the relationship. And it's one of those sad songs, but like the chorus is just, when that kicks in, it just like sends shivers down my spine. It's so good.
And almost every album he's got one or two really good like breakup songs or like I fucked up in my relationship type songs, and he is really really good at that. And just like you, I never saw House of Pain, but I did see Everlast at a festival once, did like 5 song set. Imagine going to a show with House of Pain, Cypress, and Beasties in their prime like that. Shit.
Crazy.
Insane.
I think we're still on 5. Yes, and we are on Ben.
A quick thing about the Johnny Cash thing. I
Yeah.
saw Everlast in an interview, and he said he used to just play that song and mix it like messing around, but he played it for Johnny Cash's son, Jack,
Mhm.
and he was the one who said you should release it.
Interesting.
Yeah, because
Interesting.
well, and then he was since he got the okay, because he didn't want he wanted to make
Right.
sure whatever, but I
Yeah.
thought it was pretty cool. I seen him say that in an interview. Okay, 5. I'm sticking with White Trash Beautiful. I'm going to Taken Away. Dope beat, dope rhyme, just dope shit, dope sample. Yeah, just that's that Everlast I like. What were you, 8?
I was 8 for
Oh
taking
yeah,
away.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I'm a little higher on that, but yeah, that's my style of Everlast right there.
Right. Everything you want in that Everlast song.
Yeah, right.
All right, number 4. I am going back to Whitey Ford Sings the Blues, and I'm going with the song Get Down. And my first note is, oh shit, this song gets me hype. The way he mixes the straight rapping and then every 4 bars, he'll do like the singing thing for 2. It's just, for me, it's impossible not to jam out when I hear Get Down. The scratching in the hook is just perfect. I mean, perfect. Beat is Amazing by Dante Ross, who did a lot of production on this album. This is like B-Boys Blues right here, right? I love this song. Another one I want to be higher, but it just couldn't. Get Down. Man, I will always jam out when I hear that song. I'm getting excited talking about it. It's so good. So that was my number 4. Raven, what about you?
I went back to Eat It Whitey's for the song "Children's Story" with Roselle. Man, that's a great hip hop song. I love that track. I love that beat. I love Everlast flow in that song. That's kind of like, you know, that's what I want to hear when I listen to Everlast. Just that type of track.
That was number 11. It was on my list for a long time because when you're redoing a song by Slick Rick, Snoop did it well.
Mhm.
But he incorporates the bluesy singing type thing. And yeah,
Yeah, it
Rozelle
just
from the
still hits
Roots.
though. Yes,
Rozelle from the Roots. Not enough people know that name.
so underrated.
I think he might be the best beatboxer ever. As much as I love Dougie
Facts.
Fresh and Biz and all them. Rozelle, the shit that comes out of his mouth, he's up there with like the guy from Police Academy,
Right.
who can make all those sounds. But I'm so glad that made your list. It hurt me because he does such a great job redoing Children's Story. Such a classic. Number 4, Brad.
All right. Well, in the era of white boy hip hop, there was beef. And
Here it is.
Everlast had some beef with Eminem. And I picked this, maybe, it's an okay song, but I really enjoyed that beef. And I went and bought, like, Eminem actually put all his out on 12-inch. So I bought, but Everlast, it was just like a CDR. But anyways,
Yep.
Whitey's Revenge is my number 4 because I wanted to talk about this short-lived beef. Once again, Eminem was like super, super popular at this point, and I don't even really know how the beef got started. I think Everlast
Oh, I
said
do.
something in some posse song or something and pissed Eminem off, and they kind of went back and forth for a while. But it was fun. I enjoyed it.
No, and out of all the people who, battle rap with Eminem, I thought Everlast did really good. And it started, well, the first on Wax was Dilated People's Eardrums Pop remix. And he says, I'll pull 380 on those who act shady. Then something about being the real, white boy or whatever. Because I guess they had some kind of, not even a confrontation. It was just something little that then led to that little line, which led to Eminem did 2 main songs this scene, Everlast, and the one he did where he was singing is so fucking funny. Such a great. Anyone out there, if you haven't heard it, I don't remember the name off.
Oh, I remember.
Is it called I Remember? Yeah. Such a funny song. Such a funny song. I almost want to look it up after we're done. Yes, Raven.
The funny thing about that beef, it started because like Everlast was in a hotel lobby and Eminem was coming through and Everlast ran up to like shake his hand and say, "Hey, congratulations, you're really blowing up." And Eminem just kind of walked past him and went up to his room. And then M's like, I was fucking sick and I was tired. I wasn't fucking looking at him. Like I didn't recognize that it was Everlast. I would have said,
Right.
"What's up?" But then he took that little shot.
Yeah.
That's the whole ridiculousness of what started that.
It's funny how little stupid shit can blow up like that. But it was a good back and forth. And you're right, it was on a CD, like just like a promo type CD, because I remember having that. I have it somewhere. Oh, that's awesome. That made someone's list. Yes, honorable mention. Okay, we're still on four, Ben.
I'm going to the latest record, Whitey Ford House of Pain. I'm going with The Calling. You pretty much hit the nail on the head. Yeah, just as the choppy flow, but then everything like connects. Like yeah, just a dope ass song. You know, got the Syndicate Assassin reference
Yep,
in the body
body
count,
count. Yep.
body count. Yep. So that always catches my ear when I hear stuff like that. And then yeah, the beat's dope. Who'd you say did that?
Oh, evidence from Dilated Peoples did it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that beats killer and the what was it called? War porn.
Yeah,
That,
he
that
did that group he did. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so I kind of felt like it was kind of a beat like that.
Hmm.
Just kind of it's a little bit of a mayhem and then just rhyming for your throat. I love that shit.
Well, you'll get this reference. You know what this song reminds me of, kinda, is the body count song from Violet Demise. You're fucking with BC. Because Ice-T
Yep,
does that same flow.
yep,
Hand grenade and home invading,
yeah.
that same type. That's what it reminds me of. I love that flow. It's so great.
That may be one of my favorite fucking body count songs too.
It's a top three for me. If not if, when we do body count, that's a top three easy. Ice just kills that.
Oh yeah.
Whew. But that is another
Oh,
show.
and they're Syndicate related, so we can talk about it a little bit.
Right. No, I'm gonna do body count. I'm gonna do
Yeah.
body count. I have to. All right, top three. Here we are, top three. And for the last time, I'm gonna take us to the year 2004, White Trash Beautiful. And my favorite song off this album is Soul Music. It's the other main hip hop song along with Ticking Away. It's a great mix of that pure hip hop and his singing again. And the beat by Emil Haney, who known for his work with Eminem and Kanye West, which really shows off because this is another beat that sounds like Kanye West. So many people were copying that sound with that speed up sample, but this guy actually worked with Kanye, so don't look at him as quite as much as a biter. At least he had a connection. But great lyrics. He spits it hard, and then he'll do that switch where he'll sing a bar or two. Just so many great songs off this album. If I would have made this list in a depressed mood, I would have had three different songs from this record, right? But White Trash Beautiful feels beautiful. It's such an underrated record, I think, in general. So that was number three for me. What about you, Raven?
I went back to Willie Ford Sings the Blues for Get Down. I just from the minute that Get Down hits at the start,
Yeah.
that song hooks me. And I love it. It's one of the songs that should get more attention on the album that you don't hear enough about.
Yeah, it's impossible for me not to just jam out to that song. And the scratching is whew, so perfect. Three, Brad.
All right, I went to Eat at Whitey's for the single Black Jesus. I really loved Whitey Ford singing some blues. I kind of felt like Eat at Whitey's was a little bit of a disappointment overall. Like I just didn't like it as much. But I did like the single, and so I wanted to throw that on there. But then he redeemed himself, and I think I can't state it enough that White Trash Beautiful is a stellar record, and really, I think underperformed. I wish there had been maybe a bigger single off that record because it is a really really good record.
Well, in real time, when Eat at Whitey's came out, I was kind of disappointed too because there was a lot less hip hop, straight rapping, where Whitey Ford Sings the Blues still was pretty hip hop. And the rapping songs I liked a lot, but I also was a little disappointed in that record. But it's grown on me through the years, I believe. Number 3, Ben.
I'm matching Raven with Get Down. Yeah, just like again that acoustic and the scratching and the I don't know what the sample is, but the hook is yeah, just the hook is what gets me like hyped.
Yep.
You know, it just
Mm.
no, you guys hit it on the head.
Said
So
it all. I'm glad that that was high on everyone. Well, almost everyone's list. So no judgment, Brad.
Sorry.
All right, number 2. And interesting, before I even tell you what it is, this song wasn't even on my list. I didn't think it should make it, and I'm gonna tell you why. But at the end of the day, when I was being real with myself, it made the list all the way to number 2. And this is from Eat at Whitey's, and it's the first track, Whitey, which is an intro, but it's 2 minutes of maybe Everlast rapping the best he's ever rapped. And that beat with the violin in the background, this gets me hyped. Anytime I listen to this album, I listen to that intro like 3 times in a row and then go on to the rest of the album. It's amazing. And it's another beat by Dante Ross. That violin is just, it hooks me every time. And he's just spitting straight fire for, 2 minutes straight. And I wish it was a 5-minute song with more on it. But what a perfect way to start this record. And they talked about being disappointed, and I remember buying this record on day one, putting it in, hearing that, and I'm gonna be like, "Oh, this is another Whitey Ford sings the blues." And then they kind of really took me down. But I had to be real. I didn't want to put it on there because it's so short, but I love it. So F it. Number 2, Raven. What's number 2 for you?
This was the one that kind of came the most out of left field for me on my list. It's a song I always liked, and it was on Whitey Ford Sings the Blues. And like I said, I could pick any song from that album and be perfectly happy, but I went with Death Comes Calling. I just love the beat and the flow. I love the hook. That's that song that I always try to skip around and find if I put that CD in to listen to pretty close to the front.
Yeah, like you said, the whole album, pretty much, you could pick almost anything from it. Number 2, Brad.
I'm going with the title track off White Trash Beautiful. It's already been mentioned. Video is really cool. Just a really great song. It's way up there for me because I love that record or that CD.
Yeah, I think we've sung the praises enough of it. Kind of covered it all. So I'll move right on to Ben, number 2.
two, I'm at White Trash Beautiful with a song called Pain.
Hey. Yep.
Pretty much it's all singing. He samples himself from House of Pain in it. But it's just like the shit he's saying is like the one line, the some things between suspicion and trust are the things worth knowing. Like just I don't know. I just listened to those lyrics and I thought it was a really well written, beautiful song. And it's not. I wouldn't say it's a hip hop at all, but that's one of the songs he did that I really sticks with me lyrically. That isn't going for your throat.
Yeah, whether rapping or singing, he's a great writer. There's no
Yeah.
doubt about that. Talking about that, we'll go to number 1, and no one has brought this up. 1998's Going Here One More Time. Whitey Ford Sings the Blues. I'm a sucker for a great storyteller. The song Painkillers. This is storytelling at its finest. He's in the limo and the driver's giving him, because he's smoking weed in the limo, so he's giving him a hard time. And he talks about going into the hotel, and then he gets robbed and then shot. And, he's telling the story, and the beat works perfect for this type of story. And he paints a picture like you feel you're there with him. And it turns out he's paralyzed. And, the line where between the verse where the doctor's telling him he's paralyzed, he's like, suffice to say, you won't be jumping around anymore. I mean, that always gets me. The haunting beat, it's just such a good storytelling. And at the core of my love for hip hop and music in general is the storytelling element. And this is just storytelling at its finest. On an album I love every song on, just this story is amazing to me. So when we started this list, I put has to be top 3 for Painkillers, and then figured out everything else. And it slid to number 1. So Raven, what's your number 1?
So like It was gonna be what it's like. That was my number one as soon as we started this, and then I ended up taking it completely off my list because I knew somebody else would bring it up. But that would be like if I had a 1.2, it would be what it's like. But I went with Painkillers because you covered it. That's such a good song, and I remember with my Walkman just rewinding that song so many fucking times when I put that tape on the first time because it was such a this gritty sound that like that third House of Pain album had kind of moved away from the gritty like street sound that they had, and I guess I really missed that. And just Painkillers always stood out as just such a boom. That's the song that I'm gonna probably skip to if I throw it in like first.
It's amazing how much we match on these lists. Another thing I know we say all the time, but I never imagined anyone else would have that at number one. And you know what else is interesting? I mean, we're not done yet, but I wasn't going to put What It's Like on because I figured everyone else would have it on. And I think I'm the only one who brought it up so far. So if the next two don't bring it up at number one, I was the only one who repped it. So Brad, is What It's Like your number one?
It is, and Painkillers was an honorable mention for me. I actually have yeah, I got the 12-inch, so I wanted to show it off. And I had it on the list, and it was between that and Whitey's Revenge. So I'm glad actually I didn't bring it up because you guys knocked it out of the park, and nobody would have talked about the beef, and so it all worked out perfectly. But it is an awesome song, and I love when the doctor says, "Suffice it to say, you won't be jumping around."
Yep.
It's a great story. So I kind of figured it would come out. And listen, What It's Like is the fucking bomb. That song, there's some songs that like become hits, and they're shitty songs, they're shitty pop songs. But then there are songs like that are really good where like he came and fused hip hop and playing his guitar, and the social message of the song is so fucking awesome. Like every time I hear that shit about abortion, and I'm just like, yeah, fuck you, like don't be like that, and just like that's a song that he deserved all the accolades that he got for that album because that song fucking slays. And I can listen to that song over and over and over again. It never gets old. It's so catchy, sounds so good, and it is 100% my number one for sure. And I was also thinking like the last thing I want to say about this, like a lot of artists never get one big song. Like they never do. Like, we talk about many artists who are great, but they never have one big song. And Everlast really has two big songs, right? So he's got Jump Around with House of Pain, which is, even now, like played at every fucking sporting event. Like, and then this song, those two songs, I mean, that's huge to have two big fucking songs like that and years apart, right? 92 and 98, 6 years apart, to have that because after, like after the first House of Pain album, those other two House of Pain albums, the only people buying those were like hardcore fans or like hardcore hip hop people. Like they really, he tanked in his popularity, and that Truth Crushed to the Ground, which I think is a fucking phenomenal album.
Yes.
Did not sell very well, and then to come reinvent himself and come out and hit it with What It's Like it's incredible. It's not something you see every day.
And to not only have two timeless hits, but they're completely different types and sounding song. There's no similarity between Jump Around and What It's Like, except for the person rapping or singing along to it. And it's timeless. It'll still be relevant in 100 years. I mean, these are things that are timeless, and so many pop songs, like you said, sound dated. But like an example I always use is a timeless song is like Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince parents just don't understand. Every kid from here until the world ends is going to think their parents don't understand them, right? And What It's Like, there's always going to be social issues. So,
And what it's like the one song that if you're forcing me to do karaoke, that's the song I'm picking because that's the like gun to your head, don't fuck up a word, and I can do start to finish. Okay, I got you.
well, when we go out for karaoke next, so make sure they got What
I'm
It's
on.
Like. All right, one left. Ben, what's made the top of your list?
The Lord. Just that beat, and that was I don't think there was any acoustic or anything. That was just a straight up hip hop track.
Yep.
But I love his flow on that, and with my farmer's tan, you know, and like I don't know, I just thought he was dope. I think Prince Paul did the beat. Was that who was talking shit in the beginning?
Yep. The
Then,
skit with Prince Paul before. I got you. Call me.
some Lucky Charms type shit.
Yeah.
I love that beat, and that like when I first got that record, when I finally got it, that was a song that really stuck out to me, and to this day, that's still my go-to.
That was an honorable mention for me. I love that fucking song.
Yeah.
And between the four of us, we really covered that album good, but with different songs. So, that was cool. So we made it through the list. Honorable mentions, songs that didn't get brought up that I think need some love. I had to put Syndication from the Rhyme Synicate Coming Through compilation just because it was his introduction to the world, right? On Forever Everlasting, I had the rhythm, but again, it's because of Ice-T. Whitey Ford Sings the Blues, the two that weren't brought up. One is The Letter. Maybe it just always hit me because it makes me think of my daughter's mother and when we broke up, so that's probably personal. But Funky Beat with Casual and Sadat X, I thought that might make someone's list, and it didn't. From Eat at Whitey's, I thought one of you would have Deadly Assassins with Be Real, but no one did. White Trash Beautiful, I have Sleeping Alone, God Wanna, and Broken. From Love Warren, it goes to Whitey Ford, Letters from the Garden of Stone about being a soldier. And he's saying, I'm trying to do the best I can. I wonder if my government can say the same. And it just really hits. Songs of the Ungrateful Living, which, did anyone bring that album up? I don't.
Not one person had anything.
No one had
Nothing.
anything.
That's crazy.
I Get By in the Rain, and that was my least favorite album. And from his newest one, I really like Smoking and Drinking, Dream State, and Slow Your Roll. So anything else we are missing from Everlast?
No, I think
Guess
you
not.
covered everything.
Guess
Nice.
not.
Don't Complain on the new album. Yeah, that Don't Complain song. Eat at Whitey's, I like Black Coffee and 1-2.
Black Coffee. Yeah, we're Corrupt. No one brought that up.
That was a good
a
one.
good song, yeah.
And then on besides I Get By on The Ungrateful, there's a song called Long Time. I kind of dug that. But then I really liked his work on that Prince Paul album. And when he played the Dirty Cop, and everybody's part was like a movie role. On the Black and White soundtrack, he had a song called Life's a Bitch. That was awesome. His Shook Ones cover on the Loud Rocks when he covered Mobb Deep, that shit is money. It almost made my list, but then I was like, it's not his song, so I'm not gonna put it on there. On the End of Days soundtrack, that song So Long, I thought that was pretty cool. Put Your Lights On, I had on there too. And then I just want to say my favorite Everlast verse of all time was with the song he did with Bun B on La Coca with the Choose Your Side. I think that whole
album is amazing.
Great album.
And I just thought of it, it wasn't on my list, but he did a song called, I think it was B-Boy Punk Rock or something like that on the Executioners album. Remember that? That's a really great song too. I mean, and I had forgotten about that till now, but.
And then that on the Big Daddy soundtrack, he had that booty cover of fucking the Neil Young cover, Only Love Can Break Your Heart.
I don't know if I heard that. I don't know if I ever heard the Big Daddy soundtrack.
Yeah, it's I think I might have bought it because he was on it.
On it.
Oh shit. You got me.
Yeah. I've been there. I bought a lot of CDs because the one artist was featured on it. Well, we are definitely got to do House of Pain sooner rather than later. We're gonna do it because now it makes me want to listen to House of Pain. But got through Everlast, amazing artist. Until the next time, have a good night, everyone.
Still a B-boy, from the old to the new, still a B-boy. Too bold for the school, still a B-boy. East Coast to the West, B-boys worldwide, we supposed to be blessed. Still a B-boy, from the old to the new, still a B-boy. Too bold